Okay, good evening all. Welcome to the Monday, October 18th, 2021 meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners and Woodbridge Traffic Authority. We'll open with the short agenda we have for the Woodbridge Traffic Authority. First item on the agenda is public comments. Janice, did anyone reach out to you from the public that wishes to be heard?
No one contacted me.
Is there anyone on the Zoom call that wishes to be heard from the public? Okay. Seeing no one and receiving no correspondence, moving on to the only other matter, traffic committee update.
Okay, last week on October 13th, the deputy chief and myself met with the traffic committee regarding several pending items, including some of which I shared with the board at last month's meeting. So I just wanted to update you as to what happened at that meeting and where we're at with those several incidents or several requests. The first one was the request for speed humps and children at play signage on Mill Haven Road. So as I said, the signs are all in place near the Woodbridge Club in both directions already. We had addressed that previously, and they're still in place there. And a member of the traffic committee will be reaching out to the resident regarding his concern and to determine exactly how best to proceed from there. And then we had received two requests and expressions of concern about speeding on Johnson Road, one in the area of 1087, kind of between Woodfield Road and the Orangetown line, and the other one, and with that one there, they requested speed humps as well. And we're addressing that with additional traffic assignments. We'll put the speed awareness monitoring trailer out there. And a member of the traffic committee is also going to meet with that resident to discuss their concern. And then we had two other similar concerns. They both had to do with speeding. Two were on, well, there were actually three concerns. Two came from the Ansonia Road, Route 243 area, one down near the New Haven line by Woodfield, and one from Mill Haven going west towards Ansonia. About speed and noise complaints. And then we had another one speeding complaint received from Route 69 in the area south of Clark through the New Haven line there. And both of those are being addressed by increased enforcement, patrol by patrol, monitoring by the sergeants, and also deployment of the speed trailer. And the request on Route 69, they had asked about speed humps. And that's something that's not really feasible because it's a state highway. So it's outside of our scope. And because it's such a long stretch of highway, you wouldn't be able to just put a speed hump in the middle of a long stretch like that. But we're addressing all those, and I'll keep you updated how the traffic committee makes out and where we're going to go with from that. And we're good.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, Robin, then we'll just need to do the attendance for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for reminding me that. I forgot. So we have to run through and call the list of people. If you can just state that you're present, I'll just read off the names of the commissioners. Dr. Freed.
Present.
Dr. Desir. Dr. Sear? I saw her. Commissioner Shambrown?
Present.
Commissioner Esposito?
Present.
I guess I'll ask a little bit later, but I know at least I saw her. Dr. Sear? Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the traffic authority.
Yep.
So
Second.
Now we have to vote by name of commissioner. All those in favor, Dr. Freed, what's your vote?
I seconded it, so I'm in.
Okay, Dr. Sear?
I'm in. I need to change devices. Are we changing meetings to a different login?
Not yet.
So, okay. So I'm going to, if you could let me in on the other device, that'd be great.
I will let you in. I see it now.
Okay.
Mr. Shambrown?
favor.
Mr. Esposito?
Favor.
Doctor, you have to log out of the other one, it'll be an echo. Okay. Thank you, everyone. That motion carries. Moving on to the Board of Police Commissioners. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from September 20th of 21. Is there anyone that can't vote for this? Let's see. I think,
Yes, Doctors Debbie's cannot vote. We weren't there.
so you'll have to abstain. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from September 20th of 2021?
I so move.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion, any corrections that either of you gentlemen noticed? Okay, now as far as your vote, Mr. Shambrown,
I vote in favor of approving.
Mr. Esposito,
Yay. Vote in favor.
motion carries. Next item on our agenda are the public comments. Janice, have you received any correspondence or heard from anyone regarding wishing to be heard for this meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners?
I did not.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the Zoom call that wishes to be heard during the public comment section? Okay, seeing no one raise their hand and hearing no one, we'll move on to the next item, which is the financial report.
Okay, at this point, we're about 3.5 months into the new fiscal year. And we remain on track at just under 28% of the budget used. So we're doing good with that. Some of the lines we're closely monitoring include 50430 ISU overtime. That took a big hit at the beginning of the, right from the beginning of the fiscal year with the homicide that began in June and carried it throughout the summer. 52210 data processing is up to way up there at 71.8%, but a lot of that has to do with IT issues, and it's all associated with the TBNG Phase 2 network infrastructure project. So those will have to be addressed through the finance office in combination with the funding that's been appropriated for that and adjusted. 53510 repair maintenance building. That's pretty much all the annual maintenance contracts and all. And then the other one that's a little bit high is 53520 repair maintenance vehicles. A lot of that's running purchase orders, encumbrances. There are some outstanding bills that came forward that we're just getting now from the previous substitute mechanic. Had them, they're coming across now. And just with the older cars, we have some major repairs that had to be done most recently on those due to high mileage and things of that nature. But other than that, we're still, for now, right on track. And that's all I have for the financial report.
Thank you, Chief. Is there anyone that has any questions regarding the financial report?
A quick one. Thank you, Chief, for going in detail, but what's the professional development subscription thing that was 77% used? You may have said it. I'm sorry if I missed it.
Right. Those are all our department field manuals, motor vehicle books, and things of that nature that every year they get updated, criminal law books. So that's just a standing fee.
And same with the technical.
Technical as well, but that's just a lot of the supplies that are needed.
Kind of front loaded for the top of the year.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions from any other commissioner? Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, now running through the list. Dr. Freed,
Aye.
Dr. Sear. I see a right hand. Mr. Shambrown.
Aye.
Mr. Esposito.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is the activity report.
Okay, so I'll give you a few highlights of some of the stuff from September. On a good note, we had no burglaries to report for the month of September. We did have one fraud case involved an online purchase, actually of a boat. It was quite a substantial purchase. And after it was made, the seller was informed that the boat they purchased was apparently severely damaged or supposedly severely damaged. and they returned supposedly returned payment, which was found to be a fraudulent return of payment to a fraudulent account. So ISU is working on that one there. A couple larcenies. We had a larceny off Fountain Street of some decorative metals outside someone's driveway from atop the stone pillars. And we had theft of several $1,000s in construction materials, plywood, rafters, other roofing materials from the site of a new home being constructed up on Peck Hill Road. We had 3 different larceny cases from motor vehicles where they rummaged through the cars at night. Throughout the month, those kind of were all spread out all over from Litchfield Turnpike to Acorn Hill Road Extension, and then up to the other end near Ansonia up on Shepherd Road as well. And more significantly, we had a total of 6 stolen cars out of town last month, and then 1 stolen car recovery. It was a vehicle that was stolen from another jurisdiction. One of those ones that was stolen was on September 9th in the middle of the day. Construction worker found on the lower Route 69 business. He left the keys in the van. Suspect stole it. The last he looked up, he saw his van getting up on the Merritt Parkway. It was later recovered in West Haven. The next day on 9/11, about 5:30 p.m., a Johnson Road resident noticed a silver BMW being driven suspiciously throughout his neighborhood, and he realized that somebody had got out of that car and stole his vehicle that had been left in the driveway, and that vehicle was later recovered in Waterbury. And then on the night of the 23rd, or the early morning hours of September 23rd, we had 4 cars stolen out of a body shop, Bradley Road area. And with that, they were all fenced in there, but they used a vehicle and they pushed the dumpster out of the way, and they were able to get to their vehicles. All 4 of those cars were subsequently recovered, 3 in New Haven, and 1 was located in Guilford. And then the 1 recovered car we had here was a vehicle that was left at a local garage for repairs. And the gentleman bought it. He left it for repairs. Meantime, he went to motor vehicle to register it, or try to register it, where he was notified that it was actually a stolen car, unbeknownst to him. It was stolen out of New Haven. So that case was turned over to New Haven because it occurred there. And this just a brief, recap, because we're halfway through this month now. Earlier this month, just some significant items that came up to bring to your attention. We did have an arson car fire of a vehicle on October 3rd that was set ablaze on Hollow Oak Road, which is off Racebrook, near the cemetery there. And that vehicle, a couple cars pulled up along with that vehicle. They got out, they torched that car and fled in the other vehicles. That car was found to have been used. The car that was burnt was found to have been used the night before in a homicide in Bridgeport. Ended up here. And then the next couple nights later, on October 5th, that incident that I shared the press release with you all. We had the incident of an erratic driver up on the Racebrook Road near the Route 15 overpass, where the operator exited the vehicle and subsequently went over the guardrail, went over the bridge railing there, and ended up on the parkway where he got hit by a passing vehicle and killed. And then on the evening of October 6th, I also shared this press release with you. About 12:10 in the morning, a gentleman was returning home from work down on Warren Road. And he, before he got out of his car, he was approached by a male with a mask and a handgun. And he was removed from his car, and he had his belongings stolen along with his car. There was another getaway car and another suspect involved that also fled. And ISU is working with the surrounding agencies on that, but we have a good idea who that is. Very serious incident. Obviously for our town, and right after that, there's been 3 or 4 armed robberies that have occurred with the same same suspect and still with our vehicle that's still outstanding and still stolen and outstanding and being used. I mean, as recent as just a couple of nights ago. So the FBI and multiple agencies throughout the state are involved in the search for that. Some criminal arrests that occurred during the past month of September. There was an incident at the high school on September 14th involving an unwanted person. It was a parent that went to the school was refused to leave after being instructed to do so by the school security and school administrative staff. The person wouldn't comply, created a disturbance, and was subsequently had to be arrested and was charged for offenses associated with that. And then they also served a warrant on a person on the 17th that had been involved in the disturbance while operating her vehicle back in August in town. We have those two criminal arrests. And then, as I also shared with you the press release that on October 6th, we were able to make, through the work of the Detective Bureau and Major Crime and other surrounding agencies, we were able to make arrests on the second suspect involved with the June 7th homicide that occurred at the Peace Road Playground. So I shared that as well with you. And in conjunction with that, I'll be preparing certificates of accommodation for the people involved from our agency and also the outside agencies that assisted us. So I'll get that done. And because it happened in October, I'll address it at the November meeting, but I'll try to get the certificates done and get them circulated around to all of you for your review and for your signature, so I could properly present them next month. And just a quick update on ISU. They had several new cases. They were called in for a sexual assault a report of a sexual assault. They were called out to Yale New Haven Hospital emergency room regarding an issue that is being investigated, but it's coming to a conclusion. We had a larceny of a purse from a female getting gas down at the convenience store / gas station on Route 69 earlier in the month, and so they're working on that. A couple other thefts and stolen vehicles in a bad check case, and then they also drafted arrest warrants for a couple pending sexual assaults that are going to juvenile court for their review. And they had 11 fingerprint requests from the public and 1 pistol permit background investigation that's being done. So that's it for the criminal activity.
Well, Frank, there seems to be a slight uptick in activity.
Yeah, it's been busy, slowly but surely. It's our little sleepy towns. We're ending up with a lot of we're right between New Haven and the Valley and Waterbury and close to Route 15. And then I had one car from the homicide in Bridgeport ended up here. But as I told you, I think it was a month and a half ago or so. We had the one homicide in Enfield, and a couple of days or a couple of nights later, that car ended up in Woodbridge and torched over at the country club of Woodbridge. So yeah, it's all around us, and no one's immune, so we have to be vigilant and prepared for that.
And Frank, I had a question about the break-ins and car thefts. Obviously, the ones in the body shop, I imagine it was easy to find the car keys or something like that. But the ones in people's driveways, are they breaking into locked cars, or is this the more usual problem with the cars are not locked and then things get stolen out of it?
Yeah, no, all of these so far still have been unlocked, and like the majority, as always, are the unlocked ones. Once in a while we have a locked car, but all the ones that have been, for the most part, predominantly unlocked. And all the stolen cars we had all had keys in them. Unfortunately, a lot of them were left running. And so that was
That's actually helpful, because it's easy to prevent those sorts of things. So that's a big part.
It seems people are having a hard time abiding by that. And that's it. As far as the traffic activity report, traffic enforcement by the officers during September continues to increase from where it was several months ago and where it was definitely well above where it was throughout the pandemic. Last month, there were a total of 75 motor vehicle stops conducted. This month, as you know, we're participating in the state of Connecticut's highway safety distracted driving high visibility enforcement campaign that the deputy chief applied and got that grant for us with. So that's going on, and it's been so far very successful. We've been having good results with that. Additionally, patrol performed 393 radar assignments and close to 400 deterrent traffic enforcement post assignments. And during the past month, we had 29 motor vehicle accidents. One of those was very close to being a fatality. And that's the one, there's a press release you also saw on that, I'm sure, September 22nd, 10:15. That happened at Route 69, just a few hundred feet north of Bond Road. Required extrication by the fire department. There were 3 injuries, and one was very, very significant. And it's still under investigation by the department's accident reconstructionist. And that's all for traffic and all the activity.
Chief, do you know how many, sorry. Do you know how many cases the ISU has pending right now?
Let's see. No, I don't have that in front of me, but I can get back to you with it.
Okay, no problem. I'm sorry, I interrupted someone else.
Can you hear me? I'm having major technical issues today.
I can hear
I
you.
can't
No, we
hear
can hear you.
anything. But I did have a question for the chief. Is Route 69 a particular problem with speed? I can't hear anything.
Not a particular problem, but it's
Hmm.
always been
Hold on.
a high speed, because it's so, for the most part, until you get down to Clark Road, it's very rural and open. It's by the water the company there. It's, pretty wide in 2 lanes, and you come out of Prospect and Bethany, not densely populated and not densely, not a lot of traffic. And then all of a sudden you get down to the curve by Clark Road and the curve by Bond Road, and then you immediately come into a residential and business area. Notoriously, it's there's always high speeds there.
Are there any other questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve the activity report?
So
I'll move
moved.
it.
Second.
Thank you. So moved by Mr. Esposito, seconded by Dr. Freed. Is there any further discussion? Going through the roll call, Dr. Freed? Dr.
Aye.
Zier? Mr. Shambrown?
Aye.
Mr. Esposito?
Aye.
Thank you all. Carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the report of the chief.
Well, just another quick question about Route 69. What is the speed limit on 69 in
45 miles per hour. And then when you get down in the area of Bond Road, or I believe just south of Bond Road, it becomes 35. So it's 45 for the most part, and then 35 as you get down into the residential and business area.
We won't ask how fast you drive on that road.
Well, the reason why I ask is I was on it the other day and I was going probably over those 2 speeds. Not only did 2 people pass me, but the second one passed me with a very obscene gesture. So I think the speed enforcement is a real problem on Route 69.
We're on radar.
And it seems like when we have fatalities in Woodbridge, a significant percentage of them are on Route 69. Motorcycle fatalities, other motor vehicle fatalities.
Okay, we're up to the report of the chief.
The first topic was the Coronavirus Relief Act. Funding, as reported to the board last month, the department is eligible to be awarded the $35,000 in federal Corona Relief Act funds from the Connecticut Office of Policy and Management. As I mentioned, it's to assist with crime challenges being experienced across our region that were exacerbated by the pandemic. There's very different things you could use it for, but the main thrust of it is that whatever we use it for, it could only be put towards the use of payroll expenses to offset overtime. So whether we were to use it for a task force or to put extra patrols, we'd have to use it by December 31st. And as I said, it can only be used to pay overtime. And it cannot be used to cover any of the personnel's fringe benefit costs to the town. So as I brought up, $35,000, the finance director said that would equate to a cost of approximately $10,000 in fringe benefits to the town. So it was tabled by the board to discuss this month. Since that, I reached out to the Office of Policy and Management again after our last meeting, just to clarify, to make sure that I couldn't use the money for anything else, like possibly buying some equipment or something of that nature. And they confirmed that it could not be used for that. It could only be used for the purchase, or just for overtime related payroll expenses. And they acknowledged that because of that, several towns are not participating in it. And the state understands that some towns have higher fringe benefit costs, especially those like ours that have a pension. And for that reason, some towns are participating, and that's the exact reason why OPM didn't include the fringe benefits in the grant funding, because it would really eat away at a lot of the money that they were making available to the municipalities. So for us, the fringe benefits equates to just over 36% of the total amount. So I just share that with the board. I mean, we're coming down to the deadline pretty much anyway. There's not much time if we were to use it, and there's that $10,000 cost to the town. But I put that out to you for whatever you think you might, whichever way you want to proceed with it. But OPM's not really, if we don't use it, OPM said that that's fine with them. They're not worried about it. They just offered it. So that's where we are.
Did you talk to Tony, Frank? Well, what's Tony's position on it?
Tony said it's a $10,000 cost to the town. He said that so if you want to use it, the board would have to approve that. And then from there would have to go to the Board of Selectmen for approval. So with that, it's not going to leave us much time anyway now, because now we're a month later into the whole process. So
My question was, I mean, really, I understand that, but it's the 3510. Do you have an issue with the 3510? The fact that the town, we would be picking up the $10,000. Do you have any issue with that? Do you think it was worthwhile doing, or did he take the position based on a 36% cost?
he just acknowledged that our fringe benefits, that cost is a $10,000 is quite a cost of the town, but he didn't he didn't decline it. He said that would be for the board, that would be for you guys and stuff. But he's very in favor of the obviously the DOT grants, that one that we got and the one that I'm going to present later, because they're 100% reimbursable.
So the confusion I have is it's 10,000 cost for this year?
It's $10,000 if we use the entire $35,000, but we'd have to use it in the next October, November, and December, by December 31st.
Maybe I'm confused on the fringe benefit cost, because I thought those costs are recurring costs, not just a one-time cost.
The way Tony explained it, he said if out of that $35,000, you have to take out the fringe benefits. And he says that would be $10,000 that the town would have to pay.
I mean, it's unfortunate that in this respect only that we have a meeting once a month, because that's an answer I'd love to have from him So, because I don't really understand that, how that's a one-time cost. Maybe, Andy, do you understand that?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a one-time. I think what they're saying is on the 35,000, we have to pick up if it's going into payroll, out of payroll comes all the fringe benefits, pension, health, medical insurance. So if that portion, okay, is going to have to be paid by the town out of the $35,000 you spend. So I assume that's what he's saying. So the question is, is it still worth it doing it for $35,000? I don't know. I mean, you get 35.
I'd like to hear more from the chief. Chief, would you expand a little bit? You mentioned, I think, 2 options as far as using those funds. If we proceed with it, one of them, if I could summarize and recall correctly, I think was basically using for enhanced patrol and investigation. And then the other you mentioned is participation in a task force. Can you just expand upon that a little bit and touch, if you would, on where you see the benefit to the community and law enforcement safety?
Right. Well, with both, really, the first one was, I thought it'd be beneficial that if we were able to participate in a regional task force, it would give our personnel, whoever's able to go for a short time, it would only be a couple months span, but it would give them the experience and networking involved with that. And it would also give us, during those 2 or 3 months, a vast amount of resources. So when something happens, all those people would assist in focusing on our case. And it would also be a great way for us to reciprocate with the agencies that are always supporting us. And a lot of times we're not being a small department with not a lot of staffing, it's hard to sometimes reciprocate back. I know Chief Dominguez in New Haven has reached out several times to all of us. And, as you all know, New Haven is, probably one of our biggest assets, if not the biggest. Working closely with our guys, we have a very close relationship with them. And State's Attorney Griffin has also reached out to all the municipalities and asked for participation. So on that aspect of regionality, it's be very beneficial. And then the other option I had was to put some extra patrols out, and for that, just get us extra staffing when we could. And we'd have to cover our portion of the cost of that to get more boots on the ground, to say, during different times. So that's where I'm going with that. My concern now is with the task force part of it, because now we're into coming up, it's October 18th now. We still have to, if the board does approve moving forward with it, we still have to get it through the Board of Selectmen, get their blessing on it, or if it's so be. And then we'd have to get somebody, in Joe, our schedule, to get somebody into a task force, and they need to get whatever clearances and approvals they need. So, we're time is kind of the essence, and we're a little bit even shortened it up. So there's not a lot of time left to do that. And it actually reduces the amount of time that somebody would be there, because now we kind of lost several weeks. But that was my intentions with it. If we were able to use those two aspects of it.
And Chief, does it have to be all of one and nothing of the other, or can it be split?
No, it'd be either way. The OPM doesn't care how we do it. They just said send them the paperwork for what overtime expenditures we had up to that amount, and they would reimburse us for everything but the fringe benefits. So we could divvy it up any way we like. And I know Renee, New Haven PD, had previously, because we looked into it first to see if it would work for a short time, and they said at that time that they would, they accept anybody that we would want to offer for as long as we could offer them. So.
Thank you, Chief. And I just want to say, as somebody who's worked on a task force law enforcement environment before, it's my experience, and I highly recommend that if possible, we try to send someone from the Woodbridge Police Department. The experience that they will gain working in a high crime environment, a task force environment, the relationships that they will build, typically pay benefits for years to come. I fully support that, Chief.
No, thank you for that. And I agree. We've done that in the past, and those opportunities are just a a wealth of opportunity and experience and benefits the department, all the way around. So,
Well, Frank, with manpower wise, with you losing two people, are you going to be able, could you, on a short-term basis, do you have manpower to do that?
see, that's also going to feed into that as well. But we have to offset that. If it did create overtime, we'd have to use that funding to offset that overtime. Yeah, we're going to lose one, and there's a possibility of a second.
Right.
One, as you know, Sergeant Thomas is retiring.
Yeah.
A couple of days on the 23rd.
All right, so to move forward, you need us to make a motion to approve this thing in order for you to move forward anywhere with it. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
I'll make a motion.
I second that motion.
Is there any discussion?
Well, just, Rob, the question you had about is it recurring or yearly, it talks about that the federal program is only 1 year, if I'm reading this right. So it sounds like that's how it's.
Well, that's the reimbursement component. What I'm concerned is whether the $10,000 cost to our town is something that we're going to be paying for, not just this year, but my understanding is that there are certain fringe benefits that continue to cost us money, especially when it comes to pension funds. And I don't think that $10,000 is an accurate portrayal of what the total cost of the town is. So even though if that's the only cost, it makes sense to invest 10,000 to get 25,000. I mean, that would be foolish for us not to do it. My concern is that 10,000, I would suspect, is going to cost us significantly more than that.
Tony should be able to give us that current amount on that.
Right. I mean, I think that that's important before we vote to get that answer.
So it sounds like Frank asked Tony, right? Frank, is that what you said, that Tony told you it was yearly, or were you not, was that not crystal
No,
clear?
Tony gave me that. There's always the
One
fringe
people.
cost. That cost is always with us when we pay our salaries, I guess. But for this particular grant, $35,000, Tony said that would equate to $10,000, approximately $10,000 in fringe benefits costs just for this one $35,000 grant, just for this one time thing between now or when it was available through December 31st, and then that's it.
Only because of our time constraint. Frank or Chief, would you have some willingness to try and text Tony now and see if he can just answer that quick question? Because I think that's something that's important for us to know.
And also, if he says, Frank, that, yeah, that's his understanding, but then it turns out that's wrong, do we have any latitude? Because it is a very different decision to make an ongoing $10,000 a year commitment or a one-time only.
So the question is, this $10,000 is it going to go beyond?
The question that I'd like to ask him is that the cost of the fringe benefits, is that something that is a recurring expense?
Or is his $10,000 estimate the total estimated cost of that?
That's
over
it.
the
Period.
years?
Why don't, shall we rephrase the motion that our approval is contingent upon the fact that Tony's number of $10,000 is going to be the number? Maybe we can rephrase it that way.
I think that'd be important.
Why don't we see if we can just get a quick answer? And then
Let's see if we can get a quick answer. If we can't, I would move the.
All right. Do you want to take a brief recess for a minute, or let me just mute for a minute?
Sure, we'll just take a break. Just everyone mute, and we'll just come back to us if you have a response.
Can I ask a question while we're waiting for the chief? Since time is of the essence in all this, just remind me, did this come up at earlier meetings? Because it was sent
Yes. Last
August
meeting.
9th. Okay.
Last meeting it did come up.
Sorry.
And we
Right,
just
got it.
tabled it for more information.
Okay, thanks.
Are we required with this grant money to report back on how it was spent, what it was spent for? Are there certain requirements for that?
I think those reimbursements usually occur when we provide them documentation of how it was spent, and then they reimburse us.
Hey, Rob, I'm good. I talked to the finance director.
Yes.
So he said that it's not a recurring expense. It's just this one-time expense associated with the
Awesome.
grant. And even if we're not able to use the 35,000, so say we use, because of the time restraint, we only use 20,000. So it'd be the 36.73%, whatever it is, of that amount. So it's a one-time thing. And he said the only other comment that he made is that we actually have, because of retirement coming up, so then we'll actually have some extra monies put aside in the budget for fringe benefits that could also help offset things as well. But it's a one-time, non-recurring, and it would just cover whatever portion of the $35,000. So if we use only 10,000, it would just be percentage of that.
Great. Thank you so much. It makes it a lot easier to act on this. So, Mr. Esposito, you keep the motion as it stands?
Yeah, as is.
And there was a second by someone, and we got.
Mr. Shambram.
I second.
Okay, and I think we're up to discussion. There's no further discussion, I would imagine. I'll go through our list again. Dr. Freed,
Yep.
Dr. Sear, Mr. Shambram,
Aye.
and Mr. Esposito.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all. That motion carries. Next item is clicker ticket. I don't know if you addressed that yet.
No, I didn't address it yet. So the Connecticut DOT has notified us that our department is eligible to participate in an additional highway safety grant that's upcoming. It's the Click It or Ticket campaign in pertaining to seatbelt enforcement. This will be an easy one because just like the distracted driving, high visibility enforcement grant that we're currently participating in, having really good success with, this grant is also fully funded by monies from the National Highway Safety Administration, and it has 100% reimbursement to the town. I also had discussed this with the finance director when I was notified of it, and he was agreeable with the terms of the grant as well. The grant runs in 2 phases from November 25th through December 2nd of this year, and then May 16th to June 5th of next year.
How big is the grant?
This one is only $6,500. So give us a few different days of to put some guys out there for seatbelt enforcement. And said the only approval, just like the distracted driving grant, the only approval needed is that of the board. So I present that to you for your consideration.
Is there a motion to allow the chief to pursue that highway safety grant for Click It or Ticket?
I'll move it.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Esposito. Is there a second?
Second,
Any further discussion?
Yeah, is that actually an issue?
Look at her ticket or
No,
seatbelts?
people not wearing seatbelts.
Yeah, I think it definitely is. And now with the new rear seatbelt law that went into effect, so that would promote a lot of awareness with that. But it's definitely, it's kind of like the distracted driving. Everybody knows about it, but everybody's still.
Distracted driving, I understand, is a
still
huge,
frequently violated. So
yeah, distracted driving, I understand, huge issue. But it's a little surprising to me that people don't automatically put on seatbelts.
no, it is. And I don't think if it wasn't an issue, I don't think the federal government would fund it. So it's definitely still an issue, unfortunately, or sadly to say. But,
We need to vote.
I think we're up to the vote now. Dr. Fried,
yep. Aye.
Dr. Seer, Mr. Shamrown,
Aye.
Mr. Esposito.
Aye.
That motion carries. Now we're up to coffee with a cop.
Okay, on October 25th, we'll be hosting a coffee with a cop event at the Starbucks on Route 69. For us, this will be the first one, but nationwide, they've been a huge success. It'll allow the community to meet with our officers, to converse with them in a pleasant environment, in a neutral, kind of relaxed atmosphere where they can share their thoughts, their feelings, their concerns, get to know the officers a little bit better. Officer Brian Pedolino spearheaded a lot of other community events that we had, the Toys for Tots and several other things. And he's kind of taken the lead with this one. He's spoken with the deputy chief on it, who the deputies participated that many times in Hamden as well, with great success. So we're looking to do it strictly voluntary basis, and we're going to do it in 2 sessions on October 25th from 9 to 11 approximately in the morning, and then again in the afternoon from 1 to 3. So I'll send out a flyer on that just to remind everyone, and if any of you are around and like to join us, you're obviously more than welcome to.
What day of the week is that?
October 25th, it's a Monday.
Given that most of us kind of work full time and couldn't do it, do you ever do these things on a weekend or something? Because it would be lovely to join.
Yeah, this is our first one, so we might be able to try to do that. And then we also had to work around what worked best for the establishment that's hosting it. So Starbucks kind of told us that would be the best day for them to accommodate us. But maybe next
What are the hours? Because I actually can drop by.
9 to 11 in the morning, and then again from 1 to 3 in the afternoon.
Same officer will be there, both those.
Officer Pedolini will be there, and I think I'm going to try to stop in for some of that. I know the deputy is, and whoever else might be available to pop in as well. So,
Thank you, Debbie, for representing us.
I'm putting it in my calendar right now, except that I detest Starbucks coffee, but what are you going to do?
Take one for the team. Thank you.
The next item I had was the No Shave November again this year, and as we've done in the past, I'm going to allow the officers and the dispatchers to participate in the No Shave November annual fundraiser to raise funds to support cancer prevention, research, and education. And obviously, it's for a very worthy cause, and their efforts in the past years have been very successful in their fundraising. Again, this year, they'll be partnering with the Connecticut Cancer Foundation to benefit Connecticut cancer patients. And as always, we'll remind supervisors and our officers and dispatchers to adhere to the COVID-related mandates, and as always, to maintain a professional and neat appearance during the event. And with that, as always, I wish them the best of success in their efforts for that such a worthy cause. And then finally, on October 23rd, Saturday from 10 to 2, 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. We will be participating in the DEA's one-day collaborative prescription drug take-back initiative. This will allow the public another opportunity to properly dispose of unwanted, unused, or expired controlled substances. And at the end of the day, the Drug Enforcement Administration will be taking possession of all the controlled substances that are gathered that day, and they'll be disposing of them all at their cost. So that's a great savings for us because we've been responsible for that lately. They'll be taking care of the incineration of that, and they'll be doing that at different sites across the state, which uniquely they'll be using that to, when that's burned, it'll be converted into clean, renewable energy that'll be distributed amongst the community statewide. So, and that's all I have for Chief's report.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the report of the chief?
A motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion? Okay, let's run down the list again. Dr. Freed,
Aye.
Dr. DeSier. Thank you, Mr. Shambrowne,
Aye.
Mr. Esposito.
aye.
That carries unanimously. The next item are personal matters, the promotion process and hiring.
So last month, we discussed moving forward with the promotional process to fill the sergeant's vacancy that'll become effective this Friday, October 23rd, or that's Saturday actually, but October 23rd with the retirement of Sergeant Thomas. I spoke to the chairman earlier this week and shared with him that last week, both myself and the finance director were approached by the police union asking that prior to moving forward with the promotion, that we possibly meet and get together and discuss some possible alternatives or additional promotions or staffing changes that might be feasible and beneficial to all, and might somehow reduce overtime or reduce comp time, and at the same time increase supervision. So with that said, I recommend that we just table the issue for another month and give us some time. This kind of came up at the last minute, like I said, on Thursday. And we just table it to our next meeting in November and then move forward and discuss it further at that point, if everyone's okay with that.
Sure. Next item on our agenda is the budget capital presentation.
And here, Rob, just one last thing. Also, just a quick update on the hiring.
Sure.
So as we're trying to move forward with hiring a certified officer to replace Sergeant Thomas. As I told you, it's been posted on police app website and the Connecticut Police Academy website under careers and law enforcement. So far, we only have one applicant that has applied. He's not even eligible to retire until the end of the year. So I'll keep you advised to where we're going with that. But I did speak with the other chiefs at a board of directors meeting of South Central Chiefs the other day, and that topic did come up for multiple agencies that are looking to hire both certified and even for those that are hiring new recruits. That we missed that the wheel of opportunity for that right now, that phase of it. But everyone's experience, I thought it was kind of unique. We only had one so far, and when I brought it up and we discussed it, they're all experiencing the same problem. And even South Central Criminal Justice Administration shared with me that they've actually expanded their regional testing to New York, I believe, Massachusetts and Rhode Island, or some of the surrounding states as well. And they're still getting a very limited response. So it's just a difficult hiring time for now. But it's only been a short time, and I'll keep you posted as where we're going with that. And that's all I had on the personnel.
Okay, the next item is the budget presentation.
Our capital budget, as I mentioned before, the capital budget for fiscal year 22-23, it's due on November 5th. And so I've been working on some of the capital projects and getting some of the pricing for that. And this year I'm really going to try to keep it kind of minimal, just to be responsible and to hopefully ensure that we could get some things that we really need. We really need to replace patrol vehicles. We got really high mileage. And even the one we ordered for this year, we're saying it's an 18 to 20 week lead time. So we're not going to see that for quite some time. As I mentioned, our vehicles are getting high. We're getting costly repairs. So the capital budget will include patrol vehicles. And then also I'm looking to replace the building intercom system has failed. It is out of service in several critical areas throughout the building. So that needs to be replaced. And then the only other thing, a couple other things, the speed awareness, an additional speed awareness monitoring trailer. We had put in for that last year. And that was pushed out till this year. So that'll still be in there. And then one last item we had, so looks like we're going to we are acquiring the old Boy Scout room, which is an additional room. It's attached to our building, and it's kind of to the rear of the training room where we usually hold our in-person board meetings, out that back door there. So it's another room just as big as the one we have there, but it needs some work. It needs carpeting and it needs doors and some security issues. So that might come in our budget, but I'm working with facilities and we're just trying to get clarification. I'm hoping that facilities will put the initial cost into their budget, but we'll work with facilities and the finance director on working through that. So the long and short of it, just a few projects that we really need. We'll keep it to a minimum, and then I'll reach out to Andy and Commissioner Shambron as well, both commissioners in the near future to review it with them, and then we'll bring it to the full board for approval at our next meeting in November. And that's it.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is executive session. We had extended invitation to members of our dispatch to join us for this. Chief, are you aware of who wishes to join us?
Yeah, I know several of them, of the dispatchers have, and I see dispatcher Carr's on, dispatcher Sullivan. I saw Mr. Miller, John Miller from ASME, they're representative from ASME is also on. And I believe there's some others up front that they're going to work together. And Karen Lombardi, I believe, is on from the president of the local union here, dispatcher. You see that there's several of them that want, they received the invitation and they're anxious to join and share some of the.
Aside from you mentioned 4 people. Is there anyone else? Because we'd have to notice them.
Okay. So there's Mr.
So I
Miller,
have
John
Greg
Miller.
Sullivan, Donna Carr, John Miller, Karen Lombardi.
Sean Fallon is here too.
Okay.
I'm just under my wife's name is Christy.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Sean. Okay.
Hello.
Is there anyone
Chief, I have Craig here too and Leslie,
Okay.
but we're on my iPad, but
What's
we're in
Leslie's last
dispatch.
So
I have
Leslie,
Leslie Rivera, Craig Arpino, and Donna Carr.
it looks like Stephanie Sullivan's on as well.
Stephanie's on her own and Sean is on his own.
Okay. So in addition to the commissioners, the chief and the deputy, Stephanie Sullivan, Leslie Rivera, Donna Carr, Craig Arpino, Sean Fallon, John Miller, Karen Lombardi. Did I cover everyone?
You got the deputy, right?
Yes. I did. So if those people could join that separate executive session link, hopefully they received it. If not, we can send you the link. First of all, before we leave this link, did everyone receive the executive session link? The dispatchers I'm referring to. Did anyone not get it, I should say?
Was it 2 separate emails, Commissioner?
Yes, it was.
So I only received the one. If Karen, you could forward me or Donna forward me the second one.
Okay,
What you have.
Everyone else has
got
it? Okay. Yes? Donna, you have it?
yes, I have it.
Okay.
I have
Is there
it,
a
yes.
motion to move? Is there a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
There's a second. Okay.
Second.
As far as our vote, Dr. Freed,
Aye, aye.
Dr. Seer, Mr. Shambaum,
All right.
Justice Vizito.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all. The motion carries. I'll see you on the executive session link.